do feel like it's very important that we're even like talking about this in general because of exactly what you just said. Like, exactly what you just said. Like, you're right. Like, people don't think that people that they see at the highest levels of success like went through shit. Or not necessarily just shit, but like were going through like rough patches in their own lives. Like, there are massive rough patches in my own life with extreme situations. Like, yeah, like crazy stuff. And also just me just being having terrible habits and just being of like, and that isn't just, that's not like who you are. Like, you can, that's the beautiful part about it is you can tweak them and continue to like improve on them, and little bit like this isn't like also like you get like it's interesting you seeing me now in this part of like the agency, because I was even thinking about this too. I was like, we're at this place now where it is a good culture now. Like, you kind of came into like something that was already like built a little bit versus like the progression of it. It didn't just happen like this, you know? Like, it wasn't like day one. Like, even from the start, like year one of me starting Adelphia, I also had bad habits. Like, in the first 6 months of starting the agency, I was going like, I just came out of college, out of a fraternity, living in a like in a fraternity. I was partying at like a super elevated. What's the word?
Like frequent.
Frequent. I was just like frequently partying. I was like drinking because every night I come home to my friends and it was just we're living together, and like I go to class like 2 or 3 times a week. College is nonsense.
Yeah.
College is straight up nonsense. And like for anybody who tells me like, oh, I'm just having such a hard time in college, I'm like, bro, how many days a week do you go to class? 3 times a week, and for 2 hours a day. It's like, dude, you don't lie to me, you know. So yeah, like I came into starting my agency day one out of college, where I was partying, like I was partying more than I was going to class. I was going partying like 3 or 4 times a week, drinking a lot. So like my tolerance level of alcohol when I came out of college was probably the peak of its I've ever been. Like, I was drinking more than I've ever like, yeah. So I came in to start like now all of a sudden I went from, this is interesting for somebody who's going like college to work. You go from like going to class a couple times a week to boom, now you're working 9 to 5 every single day, Monday through Friday. And on top of that, starting your own business, it's like you got to hit Saturdays, you got to hit Sundays, you're doing like extra stuff. And on top of that, there's like another layer of stress that you're like, you don't even have a real income. Like, there's like a lot of things that were like going on. And I was still drinking on the weekends. Like, I was like still like in that mode. So I think my body was not reacting well because I was drinking like 3 cups of coffee. Alcohol like consumption was through the roof. Um, Stress levels were probably higher than they've ever been. Energy, mental, like work for my mind was like at all time highs. So yeah, it was like extremes of a lot of things, and I think my body almost got like borderline sick. There's one day I went to the gym at like 7 a.m. and I just started puking like randomly, and I hadn't even like worked out that much. I like worked out like 2 sets, and I just went to the bathroom and started like throwing up. Went to the hospital just to make sure I was good. So they put like a heart monitor on me. I had to wear it for like a week. It was like a patch on my heart. They sent it to like Stanford. Long story short, they actually found out I had like this thing called Mobitz type 2. It's like this like little small like heart thing, where like you have like electrical signals in your heart uh, that like don't always send on time or something like that. It happens in like young athletes. It's very interesting, but it was nothing serious. Like, it's actually a very common thing in athletes. So, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, I almost died just because I was trying to start the agency. Yeah, yeah, that freaked me out. I got freaked out because I almost like I thought something was wrong with me, and after they did all these like studies on my heart, at that point I was like, okay, well, I'm dying. So I stopped drinking. I stopped any type of, no cigars. I like cigars. Like, I was smoking cigars and like drinking and coffee. So I think I cut coffee. I was also drinking like yerba mates. Like, I was just consuming like extremes of cigars, alcohol, and caffeine. So I cut all three of those out for 6 months. And yeah, you can even ask my like friends, my family. They thought I was crazy because I like went. It's actually when you cut out alcohol, you start to realize like how much people drink around you. It's like actually crazy. So yeah, I stopped drinking for 6 months. Parties sucked. I would go to parties and I would just sit there and I'd be like super uncomfortable because everyone's drinking. So that was a good thing. And then yeah, came back on the wagon. You know. Sure. Yeah, it's just extremely like socially like acceptable and ingrained in society, I think. It's just like everywhere. Like I started to realize how much it was just like at my barber shop or it was like at this place, like at the party, at the restaurant, at like going to like any networking events, like have a glass of wine. It's just like no. It was all like everywhere. So yeah, alcohol. I think alcohol had a big part of it. You can't abuse the body. Like you have to have mind, body, soul. Like I think those three things, like if you can figure those three things out and have them all tuned in to what you want them to be, like your mind has to be sharp. That just is essential to anything. Body, like your physical body, like if it's not well, like you're not going to be able to perform just like an athlete would and feel good. Like your energy is going to be off. Like you're just going to be it's just gonna hurt. And then spirits, like whatever spirituality you have, like belief, law of attraction, whatever you want to do, and that's more just like the vibe.